Hello everyone. Welcome to Module 3, Session 4, Understanding Variety as a Principle of Design. Let's dive in and start creating the with purpose. So, in our previous session, we have completed balance and emphasis. So, I would like to recall on emphasis. So, we knew that how emphasis work in the overall design composition. Emphasis can be attained by using contrast, proportion, color, repetition, etc. We also have learned that why emphasis are important to a composition. This is because emphasis helps to navigate the users towards a focal point in an overall design. Today, in session 4, we'll learn about variety. So let's dive in. So when we talk about variety in design, it refers to the use of different elements and contrasts to create visual interest and prevent monotony within a composition. By incorporating diverse shapes, color, textures, and sizes, variety adds complexity and richness to a design. It also makes the design more engaging and dynamic in nature. It encourages the viewer's view to explore the entire layout and keeps the experience fresh and stimulating. However, effective use of variety must be balanced with unity to ensure that the design feels cohesive rather than chaotic. When used thoughtfully, variety can enhance the design overall aesthetic, convey mood and support to intended message, etc. So here in this image you can see there are variety of lines which are used to express a abstract meaning. And I'm pretty sure you know by now lines can express moods or emotion. Here you can see there are multiple organic lines which creates together a sense of movement which is more like a ripple kind in water. So as the slide suggests, right, the unity within a design is to vary its element, either as slight variation repeating a central theme or as strong contrast. Another important thing which we have to understand is precise repetition runs the risk of boring the viewer. Hence, when we talk about variety, variety also keeps the overall composition or overall layout more engaging and more refreshing. In this example, we are looking into the London Underground Railway pocket map. This was designed in 1908. 1908. So you can see in this map there are two layers which they have tried to address. The primary layer which you can see in the color is the underground railway map, but below that is the representation of the geographical map which is on the surface. So because of two layers, the overall map seems to be more chaotic or repetitive in nature. Now, in 1933, Henry Seebeck, who was an electrical engineer, has redrawn the map to more simpler and visually appealing manner. So in this case, you can easily see how the map is much simpler compared to the previous one. So London map, which was designed by Henry Seebeck in 1933, also exemplifies the principle of variety in design. And because of this, the idea of visual interest and improving usability can be observed in the overall composition. Now you can also see how contrasting lines are used in terms of color, right? And if you see, compared to the previous map here, the lines are more organic in nature, which has closer representation to the geography. But here, Henry Beck purposely ignored the idea of actual representation of geography. You can clearly see the lines are more simplified, as if you are underground, you don't have to have a better picture what's happening on the surface. You are mostly bothered about reaching from point A to point B rather than understanding the overall geography. So with that purpose, Henry Beck have purposely made the design more geometric in nature, more contrasting in nature, and the overall idea of clarity helped the travelers quickly identify their intended path. As you can see, the lines are designed in 45 or 90-degree angles. So because of this, it created a visual distinction between the lines. So making the complex networking more easier to follow while adding a rhythmic pattern that made up the mat more engaging, and it also looked different. You can also see there are specific symbols in the overall map, and that was to highlight the different station, and it acted as a functionality to the overall map. Another important thing is how the spacing is happening between the lines. By disregarding the geographical distances, Beck gave the map more space where it's needed. And this space helped to visually clear the overwhelming spaces which was happening in the direct representation of the geography. So the overall design felt more functional and balanced. So you can say variety has been addressed by using color, symbol, line, direction, spacing in the overall map. And because of the careful distribution of such elements, it has a better understanding and usability compared to the previous one. And today, at the modern age, still such kind of representation has been implemented all over the world. Now, coming back to the idea of typography and poster design. So as you can see, this poster is quite vibrant in nature, and you can see the dynamic lines addressed in here, right? And this poster was designed by Paula Scher during the year 1995 for the Public Theater, New York. So you may ask, who is Paula Scher? So Paula Scher is a legendary graphic designer known for her bold, type-centric style and iconic brand identities. As a partner in Pentagram, which is a design studio where they work on different branding, typographies, signages, etc., she defined the identities of institutions like New York Public Theater, Citibank, and also I think she has also worked on the logo, the recent logo of Microsoft Windows. Paula Scher's works, especially her expressive typography, blurs the lines between art and design, making her a pivotal figure in the modern graphic design. She has many work related to typography where many designers take inspiration from her work. So you may ask how the variety is addressed in this composition, in this poster, right? So primarily you can see a contrasting set of typography which she has used, okay? And it's a mix of bold, condensed, and extended typefaces with varying different sizes. As you can see here, the from dark to bold to thin, right, to regular and thin. So this is how the gradation of the typeface has been used. Also the choice of color, you can see there is a very choice of color here, right? You can see yellow to be in the background, red to use to create contrast elements, and also black as a primary representation of the typeface. Along with that, the figures which also depict a sense of liveliness to the overall composition. So because of this dynamic nature, the overall eyes draws towards the poster, making it more engaging and lively. Another thing which you can identify here is how the use of grid has been broken and also has been catered to create more dynamic representation in a striking way. The layer of overlapping text also can be observed somewhere or the other, right? And it seems like an organized chaos, balancing different font sizes, different direction without overwhelming the viewer. So this is how the inclusion of variety has created the overall composition to be more harmonious in nature, and somewhere or the other you will pretty sure will have better engaging to such kind of layout or composition. So as I said, contrasting is the primary element here, right? In terms of variety, how different typefaces has been used, typography, how varied typography has been used, high contrasting colors, and irregular compositions. Next example we can take into consideration is the size comparison of iPhone from the early days to the present time. So you can see how the overall layout of the iPhone has evolved, but also keeping a sense of unity by using this extra bar in top of the top segment of the phone. So here you can also say that this anatomical changes demonstrated Apple's use of variety to improve functionality and keep the design fresh, while ensuring that each model remains distinctly identifiable. This approach creates a balance between innovation and continuity, maintaining the brand's design language. Again, keep this in mind. There is a sense of variety, but again, the overall essence of the brand has been retained in the evolving years. So, coming back to the idea of UI and UX design, right? So when you consider this part where we are primarily focusing on the user interface of such kind of app, you can see a varied way of representing the overall layout, right? And this is happening because of the using of grids and layout. So mixing grids and list structure to present information dynamically using varied typography as a part of representation, right? Using different font sizes, as you can see, the size of the font are quite different. The styles are different to create more hierarchy and variety in the overall composition. Another interesting thing you can see here is the how contrasting color variations are happening, and overall tone of the application is towards earthy tone and to give a sense of freshness to the overall representation. Interestingly, when you design app, you also go through iconography and other different visual elements. So typically when you design icons, as you can see here, right? So the sense of variety is always there. Also keeping in mind the overall representation has a sense of unity. So in terms of functionality, again, we always seek for responsive and adaptive design. So when you address any kind of UI or UX representation, definitely in terms of engaging with your application, the layouts and all, the idea of responsive and adaptive design plays an important role. So with this, we are about to end this session. So by now you are pretty much sure how variety is equally important as balance and emphasis, which we have learned in the previous segments, right? So variety as a design principle is very much essential for creating engaging, dynamic and functional designs. By introducing differences in elements like layout, color, typography, and interaction, variety enhances visual interest and guides user through the content in a more intuitive and enjoyable way. So as you can recall, the examples which we have taken into consideration, first is how the idea of the map, right? So how the map played an important role in defining the variety in principles of design, right? How the colors were used, how the lines were different, right? Either it was 45 or 90-degree. Apart from that, how the symbols and other visual elements were part of the map design, including the idea of simplicity in expressing the information. Another example which talks about the idea of poster design, how the overall composition becomes more engaging, playful in nature because of variety of typefaces which they have used. So this all typefaces were also taken into consideration with the font family, how it creates the overall unity in terms of defining the overall composition. Whether in print design or digital interfaces or product design, variety creates a perfect balance between diversity and consistency, making designs more memorable and effective in nature. So thank you for your time. I hope you got some idea about the importance of variety as a design principles and how it can be achieved in visual communication. We'll end this session here and we'll meet in our next session where we'll talk on contrast in principles of design. Goodbye.